Hi Cubicle Crashers, I'm Lydia Lee and welcome to another episode of Screw the Cubicle TV where we'll explore the freedom-based mindset, lifestyle and business on your terms. And today I am joined by Tijana Momirov. See, I got it kind of almost right.
Pretty good.
She's someone that I've met in Ubud that I thought would be a great first interview to actually broadcast on my YouTube channel because I'm all about spreading stories of real people that have found creative ways and innovative ways to work and live abroad and of course lead a more adventurous life and a more freedom-based life. So Tijana, you have a website called followtheelements.com,
yes, that's
right?
something that I started recently.
Okay, great. So you've been a digital nomad for 5 years.
5 years already, yeah.
Time passes, doesn't it, when you're having fun?
When you're having fun especially.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about how it all started for you. I think it was 2010 you kind of decided to go mobile. And when was that decision point for you to think about maybe I don't have to do my work in an office?
It started in a very simple way. I'm a software engineer. I used to work at that time in Athens, Greece. That was my last office job. I started learning windsurfing during the weekends, and pretty soon it started happening that it's windy during the week,
right.
Not really during the weekends because the wind doesn't work in 9 to 5 Monday
right,
to
yeah.
Friday.
Yeah, the wind waits for no
schedule,
one.
yeah. And somehow I realized that it's silly. All the clients I worked for at that moment were in Luxembourg or Brussels, obviously not in Greece,
right.
and I was not on site working with them, so it was actually only the middleman making me sit in the office and being so away from the islands and the beach, and it didn't make any sense. I realized that actually I can do the same work from anywhere,
right?
And talk to the clients and team members remotely, like I used to do even when I was in the office. So this is what I did. I quit my job, started freelancing. In the beginning, I thought it's going to be maybe something temporary.
Right.
I just wanted to spend more time at the beach that year,
right.
But in the end it turned out to be like the best decision I ever made, and I never ever came back to the office life,
right.
nor I plan to.
Yeah.
I realized that it's way bigger than that. It's not only about a hobby that I have, it's about having the freedom to do literally whatever you want with your life once you stop wrapping your life around your work,
yes.
but instead wrapping the work around
yes.
your life, actually choosing the life and then working
right.
along the way. Everything changes. You can lead a healthier lifestyle. You can have a quality time every day in your life, not waiting until weekend or vacation.
Right. Yeah.
You can spend more time with your family or at home, or if somebody wants to tender their garden or spend time with their kids or
right.
whatever, it doesn't have to be the same thing that I'm doing.
Right. Yeah.
But basically having the freedom and flexibility, that's the key. And I also like to point out that everybody should have their unique path. It doesn't have to be the same as mine.
Exactly.
And I'm just giving examples and trying to encourage people to find their own way, and maybe I'm doing it a bit more radical in a way. I'm literally changing continents every few months,
right.
and I really live out of a backpack. For some people that can be too much, and it's
right.
really
it's
okay if
choice.
you want to have like 6 month scheme, for example, just 2 locations, even within the same country, whatever, all is cool. Just get rid of the cubicle,
right?
And
the mindset,
start
really.
living your life.
Yeah. So I like the idea of, we had a conversation last week a little bit about freelancing because everyone that knows me from Screw the Cubicle, I'm a huge advocate of business, obviously, because I'm all about helping, makers and creative people express themselves through their work. But not everyone is kind of, everyone's risk threshold is different. Not everyone can jump straight into a business and go, okay, I quit, because it takes time, to build this business. It takes time to make money. It takes time to get clients and kind of have this momentum of having a full-time gig that's really your own. So I like the idea of experimenting with different options before someone kind of jumps full force into a full-time business, because it's not easy. It could take months, sometimes years for this to actually happen for people. And I liked your story because it's something that I kind of did on a short-term basis, which is contracting myself out with my old boss, but for a very short amount of time, like a 3-month period, to help them replace me in a way, help out with certain projects I was already working on, and then slowly transition into my own thing. you're kind of a huge advocate for freelancing, and you probably have a lot more hacking tools and resources than I do about putting yourself out there. And how can you, so the question I have really is what are some tips that you'll have for the viewers today on if they wanted to utilize the current skills that they have? So they don't hate what they do, but maybe they hate the environment they're in, but they want to have more freedom, they want to have more choice in picking the clients they want to work with and the projects they want to work on. How does one go about, in a way, showcasing their skills online to be able to get freelance work?
Exactly. So basically, I continued with the same field of work with my IT career.
And you're a software engineer?
I'm a software engineer.
Okay.
As a freelancer, I continued with the same work. The difference between starting your own business and just going freelancing is that you don't need to invest money in the beginning,
right?
So you don't need to have so big savings. On the other hand, even if you have the money, once you start investing it, you also want to commit to it.
Yeah,
it's a huge responsibility.
Sure.
So you will probably spend a lot of time, as you said, months or years until you start getting the income, and in that period you will probably work a lot. And for me, it was really, I wanted to spend as much time as possible on the beach.
Right, yeah,
so
the selfish reason.
I didn't want to have this period.
Yes.
I wanted to start my lifestyle immediately.
Yeah.
So that was really great. And unlike in the office, now I'm able to choose my projects. So there is no manager who is allocating me to different projects on their own terms. So I'm able to choose the projects and also the workload. Usually I work 20 hours per week, which is half the normal workload, which makes huge difference in your daily life. You can organize your life way better if you have 4 hours per day of work. So I use this platform for freelancers called Odesk. Now they rebranded to Upwork.
Right, Upwork.com, right?
Yes, exactly. The thing is, well, first of all, they guarantee the payment, so you don't need to chase your clients.
Yes, that's always a nice
for the money. Because many freelancers used to have these problems. But what is even more important for me is the transparency. Like in corporate, we used to have this situation that we're like required to keep secret regarding our income or salaries. You're not to discuss this with your colleagues. You know how the situation usually is.
Yes.
And here everything is perfectly transparent. So you can go to my profile, you can see my hourly rate, you can see all the previous projects I work on.
Testimonials and references.
And this is the way you build your profile. So now after working five years there, actually I'm getting the job offers. I'm not even searching for them, which is quite
because you're probably ranking a lot higher now that you've got some work under your belt.
You have a lot of hours done there, and all the references, testimonials, and also it's good when somebody wants to hire. I'm always recommending to people when they are trying to find somebody to build their website or something, go to a platform like that, not via a friend of a friend of a friend, because very often it happens that they're not satisfied with the results. And here, if somebody has a profile like I do, I'm not going to play around and get a bad testimonial on my 5 years profile. So for sure I will deliver what I promised, and the rest of the freelancers, I'm sure they think the same. Also for us freelancers, it's good to have this kind of transparency. If we are choosing the clients, we can also see what were the previous projects they had, who were the freelancers that worked for them, so we can check their profiles and see who work for them, for this client, which also gives certain credibility to them, or maybe if they work for them at the moment, so these people will be kind of a team members for me, so maybe I want to check that out as well. So here transparency works pretty well again. Then doing research about your competition. If you see that somebody landed a job you wanted, you can go to their profile, see what kind of skills they have.
That's a good little tip.
And then maybe if you don't have those skills, maybe this is something you need to work on. So being transparent, I think, is the best feature of these platforms. Also, they offer some kind of free tests that you can use at the beginning while you still don't have the references to build your profile. Like some tests to prove your skills. That helps. At the beginning, that helps a lot. If you are afraid that you won't get any clients because your profile is empty, this is a good way to start. Do a couple of free tests and this will.
So they're measuring kind of your skill set. So if you say I'm a WordPress designer or I know websites, they're going to kind of rate you in a sense of like how good are you?
Exactly.
Are you junior, senior, or intermediate, whatever that the
you
ranking
do some
scale
kind of
is.
multiple choice test, and
great.
they will put your score on your profile if you agree. And at the beginning, before having your first client, this is a good way to start to have something on your profile, something to start with.
Right.
This is really good. Another tip that I would mention is when you are thinking about your workload, think that if you say 20 hours, you really commit to 20 hours of efficient work. There is a tracker tool that is doing screenshots.
Okay.
So it's not like you can say I'm working and then go chat with your friends or make coffee or make sandwiches, which is completely different than the office environment when you're on company time. And we all know that 40 hours, it just doesn't mean 40 hours.
Right.
We go often in the
Facebook
corridors
status.
with our colleagues, making coffees, getting some food. So it's never 40 hours.
Right.
So if you say I'm working 20 hours per week, it really means 20 hours. If I'm making a break, that doesn't count. So when you're planning your workload, plan those hours as efficient hours, productive hours that you are really going to.
Because you're actually charging the client for those hours.
There are also options two main options to work on hourly based hourly rate or fixed price projects. I always choose hourly rate. I think it's more again transparent, more fair, and whatever happens, like change requirements, I can always charge additional hours. So I think it's more fair towards the freelancer for sure. And sometimes clients want to go into like endless discussions over Skype, and still you can charge all that because I think you should.
Of course,
fair enough. It's your time. And if you have a fixed price that you estimated based on the amount of work you think you will have to do, and the client want to go into 3 hours Skype discussion, that is somehow not paid for. And if you work on an hourly rate, I think that's more fair and more advisable for the freelancers.
And are the projects that you're getting off places like Odesk or Upwork.com now, are they short-term projects or are they long-term, like a year's worth of stuff, or is it like shorter term?
There are different options. For me, as a server-side engineer, it doesn't really pay off to get involved in the short-term projects, like maybe for designers. They can take a workload of, for example, 3 weeks and finish some design and move on. For me, 3 weeks is not even enough to get familiar with the system.
So it depends on the type of role that you're doing.
I used to work for one US startup for 2 years and a half, then for one Israeli startup for 2 years again. So I had really long-term contracts and like serious roles on those contracts, even as a freelancer and somebody who is traveling.
And you know, one of the things that when I talk to freelancers, and it seems to be kind of a common thing that they'll say to me, is that make sure you tell people that not to kind of be too general about their skills, because sometimes people that are in service-based type of roles, like your role might be very specific, right? Like, especially if you're like, I'm just a web designer, or I do this type of software, and here's the boundaries of what I do. Right, exactly. But someone, let's say in my role in the past, and actually still in my job now, can be a very vague type of service, like, you know, especially if you're someone like a project manager. I mean, that can be in all types of businesses. It can be all types of responsibilities that are listed under a project manager. So would you say that it's good advice to give people to kind of set boundaries upon the types of things that they're going to do, rather than just generalize over one title and then expect people to kind of know what that really means?
I guess so.
Because I know that one of the fears that I had about freelancing before I started my business was like, I was kind of good at quite a number of things, and how do I kind of showcase this? And I think the question I probably should have asked was, which of those pieces of work do I enjoy doing the most? Because I think if you don't enjoy it and it's still paying the bills, then you're still kind of a glorified employee. Right?
Exactly, and as I said, you can do a lot of research, see what is like the most popular job title that is popping up. Then you go see the applicants for the job, or the people who landed the job, see what their skills are, how their profile looks. So you can really use that to build your own profile. But you should put some specifics, definitely. Otherwise, nobody will think that you really fit their job description. You can be that person, but maybe not. So maybe start with one of the roles, and then later you can obviously change when you test the market.
And you can experiment, I guess, with a few different different clients with all, maybe your top 3 things you love to do, and then pick and choose where to focus on, which I think would be a good idea, because then it, like I said, bounders you to that expertise, and then you enjoy doing it, and it's much easier than going, oh God, another client. Like that wouldn't help you or the client, right?
Exactly.
So when you've been on the road for about 5 years, so you've probably worked from some interesting places in the world.
Definitely.
What is your strangest or most most fun place that you've worked from?
Maybe I can say that it was during a few summers actually that I spent in Greece.
Okay.
I lived in a van with my ex-boyfriend for a few months at a time. Each time for the whole summer. We would go around the Greek islands. We had solar panels for the energy.
Amazing.
3G for the internet. Bicycles to go get food from the local villages.
Right.
And we would just park in a beach, usually some beach that is like remote without hotels, so that they don't bother us. And we would go windsurfing, kitesurfing, living on the beach, working in the van with the energy from the solar panels.
So you have to work according to when the energy is allowing
Exactly.
you, right?
Actually, the battery was giving just about enough energy for 2 laptops to work 4 hours per day.
Okay, so it kind of limited you whether you liked it or not.
Yeah, we had anyway this plan to work like that, but it's not like you can make a break, go get some food and leave your laptop on. It's already half an hour of energy gone.
Right.
So you really have to be very, very efficient, very well organized, very productive.
Right.
Because you're limited by physical.
Physically, the energy. The solar panels.
Limitations, which actually helped a lot.
Yeah, I think we have to be forced sometime into it, right?
Maybe,
I think if we have to choose, sometimes we just go, I don't have to. But if you're kind of going, I only have 4 hours of energy, you kind of have to focus your brain into going, what are the top things I have to do today? Because I literally cannot work after 4 hours, which is amazing.
That was a really good experience.
Yeah. And how long did you do that for?
We did it, I think, 3 summers in a row, something like that. So 3 summers. I think it was 3 summers. So each time a few months, and we would go to different Greek islands, and it was amazing. I mean, just living in those places, you wake up at the beach, and then tomorrow you can choose to go to another beach, with complete freedom, and you realize that you don't need so much to be happy.
Yeah, that is a really good point, because I used to have, any woman has tons of shoes and purses and all this stuff. You're like, oh, it's my stuff.
It all gets
you like going,
to a backpack.
you like going home to stuff, because it's what we think, in a way, I guess, identifies us to something of what we love and what we believe represents us. And then when I was kind of not forced, but I made the choice to sell everything, in Vancouver, and because I was too cheap to pay for a storage unit, because in Vancouver it's like $200 or something like that a month, to have a storage unit. And I didn't even know if I was coming home or not, and I didn't want the pressure of going, I have to come home and sell my stuff again. And so I kind of made this impromptu decision to sell everything through a garage sale every weekend till the day I left. And I just put price tags on everything. So anything with a price tag was for sale, right? And now my life is in 3 Rubbermaid containers in my mother's garage, which is all of me, and that kind of felt sad in the beginning, of wow, all my stuff is gone. And then you realize, after I moved to Bali, going, I didn't really need more than what I have right now, because everything else is just stuff. So do you find that living in this kind of minimalist lifestyle has kind of, in a way, expanded you into filling it up with more things like experiences and friends and time, right?
Exactly. And now I'm super, super simple.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied wherever I go with any situation.
Yeah.
I fit in literally any occasion. It's not a problem, because everything that has 4 walls is still better than a tent, right?
Yeah.
So once you live in a tent for a while, everything else is super luxurious.
Right. Yeah. And I guess you learn to find home away from home, right? There's always, I think we're comfortable with what we're comfortable with, and if we don't know any different, we'll go, well, we'll never live outside of here, because we don't know that, living in Cambodia or living in Thailand won't kill us. If anything, it'll kind of let us see and meet people that we've never had the opportunity to do it if we didn't step out of those comforts, right? But what is one thing that you miss the most from, I guess, where you come from, which is from?
I'm from Serbia.
Okay, Serbia.
That would be friends and family, for sure.
Yeah, and have you found different ways to kind of connect and network with different people on the road then? To be able to not be lonely?
Definitely. I'm usually trying to stay for a few months in the same place.
Okay.
Then maybe I go travel a little bit, change locations more often, but then again settle in one place for a few months in order to be able to gather people around me, have some community, have more meaningful relationships than just, hi, what's your name?
Sure.
where have you been yesterday?
Yeah.
Something like that, like backpacker stories. Yeah, definitely I'm past that. So I'm trying to build more meaningful relationships, and also relationships with the people back home. When I used to live abroad, but working in the offices, like in Austria or in Greece, I was only able to visit my family during Easter and Christmas holidays. And now when I go, I always stay, I go twice per year. Each time I stay around 1 month. So basically it's 2 months per year that I spend with my family and friends. So it's definitely way more. And since I stay with them and I have the freedom of organizing my day, we get to spend a lot of time together, do a lot of stuff together, engage in different activities. So even that aspect of my life improved.
A little bit more meaningful time because you get to structure it. Yeah. Now let's talk a little bit about your project that you have right now, which is, I guess, part of Follow the Elements.
Should we check?
Yeah, it's up. Don't worry about it. It's
okay.
Still yeah. So basically, we talked a little bit about what you call workations. Am I saying that properly?
Yes.
Workations. Okay, so with workations, what is your idea around wanting to spread the message about this concept? What is workation to you, and how do you think it'll change people's lives?
Actually, since I've been living on the beaches and these vacation places all these years, I realized that nobody wants to talk business. And I can't blame them, because they have like a few weeks of vacation per year, and they came to this amazing paradise place, and now there is this person who wants to talk business, right? And discuss some ideas. And I felt a bit professionally isolated.
Yeah.
Like, it's so nice, you're in paradise, you're in a vacation place, but you do need some ideas exchange and like discussing stuff with people like we do have here. And I thought it's a good idea to bring people together, since I do like to gather people and like have groups around me and motivate and inspire people to communicate. So I thought it's a good idea. And I like this place in Brazil, where I go every year for windsurf and kitesurf. It's Jericoacoara in Brazil. And I partnered up with the DNX guys, Marcos and Feli, who are doing this big digital nomad conference in Berlin. And we are doing this first co-workation in Brazil now in December.
Yeah, so you're going to mix a little bit of things that you love, like the kitesurfing and all that stuff, right?
Like bringing two of my favorite activities together.
Yeah, I love that.
So we'll have a co-working aspect of the event, like skill sharing sessions, tribe check-ins, talks, discussing our ideas, brainstorming, improving our businesses, and actually motivating each other to continue.
Yeah, some accountability for the ideas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, we also go kitesurfing together, having fun, exploring Brazilian culture, which again is a way of bonding. And I somehow expect that these people, after these 10 days, will become friends and possibly co-founders of future businesses or partners on some projects. So definitely I think in 10 days of an intense program like this, you can improve your business, your lifestyle, and get to know some people that can help you in the future. Yeah,
so it's a bit of like an incubation style type of retreat, but also having some fun. Also and not just kind of like wanting to work all the time. Yeah.
So now we started with this one that is happening from the 1st until 11th of December in Brazil, but we also plan to do other locations, like for example Bali as well, next year in April and June. So actually we want to provide opportunities all around the world in different periods throughout the year for people to come and join and
crazy. I love that you're picking places that you love.
Exactly. That's
it's always a sweet spot, right?
I'm living my life and I'm just bringing other people over. That was my passion project.
I love projects that kind of are born from, like, in a way, scratching your own itch, whether it's what you would have needed back in the day, like what for Screw the Cubicle, for example, is something I would have needed when I was like, holy shit, what should I do and how do I begin? And it's almost giving kind of a little bit of honoring my own journey back in the day, going, well, someone else is probably
based on the experience,
right? And same with you. It's like you've gone through this experience with freelancing, and you could just continue to do that, but there's something to share, which I think we sometimes overlook as value. Something we've gone through that's been easy,
and it's obvious for us.
Yeah, it's obvious. And it's the blind spot there until people start asking you.
I got this idea by talking to people when I heard. I gave a few public talks here, and when people started asking me questions, then I realized that some things that are obvious to me are not obvious for everybody, and that actually people can benefit from exchanging ideas and just being encouraged to proceed.
Yeah, I love that. So where can people find out more a little bit about the Brazilian can you say that again? It's the workation. I want to say work vacation, but it's workation.
Yeah.
And then there's one in Bali that's for next year. Where can they find
they can like my page on Facebook, which is Follow the Elements, and then there is the link for the DNX Camp website, and everything else is there, so they can start from there, and they'll be in touch.
And do you have Twitter or anything as well?
I do, and Instagram, Twitter, and everything goes by my name, Tijana Momirov. We can.
We're gonna have to spell your name out because I wouldn't be able to spell it if I didn't know
what it
spelled
like. Put it online as a link.
All right, we'll put the handles on. So, is it okay if people ask you a little bit some questions about freelancing and kind of some tips on that?
Of course.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, absolutely.
Thanks, Lydia.
So that's another episode of Screw the Cubicle TV. If you have any questions, please feel free to click on the link below, where it'll lead you to the video blog page on screwthecubicle.com, where you can actually engage in conversation with myself and Tijana, of course. If you have any questions about co-workations or I'm probably is that correct? Co-workations or anything to do with freelancing, Tijana is the expert here. And see you next time on the next episode of Screw the Cubicle TV. See you later. Hey, thank you so very much for watching Screw the Cubicle TV, and don't forget to subscribe below to get all the latest cubicle crashing content on how to quit your 9-to-5 and create a life and business on your own terms.